Hi everybody, welcome. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my review of some new Sephora collection products with you. I recently picked up the Sephora collection Best Skin Ever foundation, so I will be sharing this with you today. And then when I was actually at the store purchasing this foundation for this video, I noticed that they had some new eyeshadow palettes as well. So I picked up two of the new Sephora collection pocket palettes to share with you. And then they also had a mascara that was sitting right next to the palettes. This isn't new. This is the Sephora collection Size Up mascara. This has been out for quite some time, but again, it was right next to these when I purchased it, so I figured I would pick this up and give it a try as well. So again, in this video, I'm going to be sharing these products with you. I have been wearing these, so this is not going to be a first impressions wear test video, but I am going to, again, obviously show you how I've been wearing these and let you know my thoughts and share my review. So if you are interested in seeing all of these products in action, then just keep on watching. Starting off with foundation, again, I have the Sephora collection Best Skin Ever Liquid Foundation. This is $20 and it is available in 50 different shades. It says that this is a medium coverage natural finish foundation with a long-wearing anti-pollution formula that hydrates skin for up to 12 hours and is infused with skincare benefits. So this has hyaluronic acid in it, red algae extract, and then brown algae extract as well. And then it basically says that this foundation delivers a second skin-like effect and provides lasting hydration while covering imperfections. Its formula is clinically shown to reduce signs of stress and fatigue, and usage over time is proven to make skin smoother, more even, and more radiant. So when I saw that they launched this, I was actually really excited to try it out because the first video that I ever did on my channel was another Sephora collection video, and I reviewed their clean beauty line. It was the Sephora collection S Clean Beauty line, and one of the products in there was their clean glowing skin foundation, and I actually really liked that foundation, and that was the first Sephora collection foundation that I had ever tried. So being that I liked that one so much, I was excited to give this a try. This also has really great reviews on their actual website. It's rated pretty highly. There's not a ton of reviews. I think there's like 150 something reviews when I'm filming this, but people have said pretty positive things about this. So I have to say that I agree. I do really like this foundation. I'm going to go ahead and put it on and I will let you know my thoughts as I'm applying it now. But the packaging of this is really nice. It comes in kind of a like matte glass bottle, and then you do have a cover here that comes off, and then you've got a foundation pump on here as well. So this, again, it's available in 50 shades. I have the shade 04N, which is the second lightest shade. And basically, again, I have been wearing this, so I know my thoughts on it and how I prefer to use it. But basically, I found that one pump of this foundation is way too much. So I use a half a pump and it's plenty. So this is what a half a pump looks like. And again, this is plenty for me to start, and then I will go back with just a little bit more and end up applying it to the areas that I need more coverage. But I find that, again, this is enough to start with for me. So the one thing about this shade is that when I went to the store to purchase it, obviously you can't test anything out in the stores right now, and being that this is packaged in the glass bottle, they did have samples out, but you really couldn't see the shade very well through the bottle. So I just kind of took a shot in the dark, and again, I went with the second lightest shade with the neutral undertones. And at first I was worried that it was going to be way too light. You can tell it looks pretty light on my skin right now, but I do find that this foundation oxidizes a little bit. It's not bad. It's only about a half a shade, but I find that once I let this set on my skin, again, it does end up getting just a little bit deeper, and this particular shade ends up working pretty nicely for me, especially after I apply, you know, bronzer and the rest of my makeup and everything. I'm happy with the shade that I selected, but just know it does oxidize just a little bit. So I just kind of smooth this all over my face with my fingers like I normally do, and now I'm going to go back with a brush and just smooth it all out. This is my Marc Jacobs The Face 2 brush. Funny story about this, I bought this a really long time ago. I've had this for a few years. It used to be my favorite foundation brush ever. I just used it religiously, and then I don't know what happened. It was one of those things that I just kind of forgot about. I don't know if I bought a new brush and set this one aside, but I found this in the back of a drawer the other day, and so I took it back out and I washed it, and I've really been enjoying it again. So anyway, that's what this brush is, but I'm just going to go ahead and continue smoothing this out. So like I mentioned, I do like this foundation. I agree with the claims that this provides a very natural finish. I would say, they say it's medium coverage. I do find that I have to build it up a little bit to get it to the medium coverage, but it provides a really nice light to medium coverage kind of right out of the gate, again with the half a pump. I do think you could get a full medium coverage if you started out with a full pump of the foundation, but again, I just prefer to build it up only in the areas that I need it, rather than making it really heavy all over my face with the full pump to start. Okay, so this is my skin now with that half a pump completely blended out and smoothed in. One thing that I wanted to note really quickly in case you are seeing it on camera is that I did recently start using my retinol serum again. I took a break from it for about 6 months to use other products, and for me, retinol is one of those things that my skin kind of goes through a bit of a change to get used to. So I've been experiencing a lot of like dryness and peeling and flaking this week. It's pretty under control today, but you can tell just kind of on my nose a little bit where, again, I still have some of that like peeling and flaking happening. But even with that being the case, I do think that this foundation does a good job of kind of providing moisture in those areas. It doesn't really accentuate the flakes. It just kind of like keeps it locked down and provides the moisture to my skin. So even that considered, again, knowing the state that my skin has been in this week, I think that it looks really nice. So again, one layer, half a pump on my skin. I would say that I got a pretty light coverage. I'm gonna go back in and build it up like I mentioned, just kind of in the areas that I need it. So just over on my cheeks and usually where I would put concealer. But I do agree with the claims that this is a very natural looking foundation. Like when I look in my mirror here, I don't know if you'll be able to tell on camera or not, but it is one of those foundations I don't feel like I can see it on my skin. Again, even around the areas that I have the dry patches, I can't tell that there's really foundation clinging to those areas or anything like that. So I love the way that this looks and the way that it sits on my skin. And then as far as the finish goes, it is a very natural finish. It's not matte, but it's not overly dewy. My skin is pretty tacky to the touch, so I do have to set this one. But I'm gonna go back now and build it up again just in the areas that I need it, and I will show you what it looks like once it's built up. So this is my skin now with a second really light layer blended out. Again, I only applied it to the areas that I felt like I needed it, so just kind of on my cheeks and then a little bit in the center of my face as well. Everything else, again, still feels standard. It's still very like tacky and kind of sticky on my skin, so I will set it, but it's not overly dewy. And I really like the way that this looks on my skin. It is truly one of those foundations that it doesn't look like foundation on my skin. Again, even in the areas that I have dryness where other foundations would cling to it. Again, my skin has kind of been in this state all week, and that's when I've been using this foundation, and I have no complaints with how it's applied on top of kind of the flaking dry skin. As far as the wear of the foundation goes, I do have relatively normal skin. I'm usually not overly oily or overly dry, with the exception of this week. Again, my skin's been kind of out of whack a little bit, but it still wears pretty naturally on my skin. I don't find it to be overly drying or overly oily. They say this is kind of a foundation made for everyone. I do agree with that claim, unless maybe you're super oily. I don't think this would be something that would provide a ton of oil control, but if you have dry skin, again, I can attest to the dryness and the flaking this week. It performed fine with that. And then again, on relatively normal to combination skin, I think it would wear really nicely for you as well. So overall, I'm super pleased with this. I do really enjoy it. I'm going to continue using it. So I'm just going to go ahead now. I'm going to apply a little bit of concealer and do the rest of my makeup, and then I will share the eyeshadow palettes with you. Okay, so the rest of my face makeup is complete, and again, I just wanted to reiterate that I do really like this foundation. Even after applying concealer and powder, I feel like when I look at my skin, it doesn't really even look like I have foundation on. And I think that is quite impressive, again, considering the state of my skin right now. I'm extra red, peely, everything like that. And I think that while you can tell where I have some of the peeling skin, like when you really look up close, it's not like accentuated at all. And I just really enjoy the way that this foundation looks and feels on my skin. Anyway, I like the foundation. Let's go ahead and move on to the eyes. For the eyes now, like I mentioned, I picked up the Sephora Collection Pocket Palettes. So these are $10 each. They have 6 different palettes available, and I ended up picking up 2. I picked up Cool Brown, and then I also picked up Khaki Tones. So I will insert a close-up and swatches of those for you right now, starting with Cool Brown. One thing to note is that there are no shade names on these palettes, so really the way that they're labeled is just shade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As far as the packaging of these goes, I like it, but I'm still getting used to it. It's a little bit weird. So they come in this cardboard packaging, and then they have this elastic band on it to hold the palette in. So you remove this, and then the palette actually like slides out from here, and it does not come all the way out. So it is stuck in this box. I suppose you could pull it all the way out if you wanted to, but it has been kind of an adjustment to like hold it in my hand like this. It feels kind of weird. I think I don't know. I think I'm just not used to it. Overall, it's not bad packaging, and I mean, it slides really nice. It's easy to use. I just haven't used a palette like this before, so I'm getting used to that. But that is the packaging. I'm just going to get this going on my eyes really quick so that I can tell you about the formula as I'm applying it. But I am going to use a combination of the 2 palettes today just to show you as many shades as I can. So I'm starting off with the Cool Brown tones and going in with shade number 1 and just applying this kind of all over my brow bone. As far as the formula of these shadows goes, they are pretty nice formulas, especially considering the fact that these are $10 palettes. Hopefully you could tell in the swatches that they all are really pigmented. The only issue that I have, and it's not an issue, just something to note with the shimmers in these palettes, is that the shimmers are quite powdery, which is weird, I guess, for a shimmer. I find that I get kind of a lot of fallout, not with chunks of glitter, because none of these, aside from the one green shade in here, none of them have glitter in them, but they are pretty powdery for shimmers. So I don't know if you'll be able to tell when I put it on my eyes, but that is just something, I guess, to note. Doesn't really bother me though. I still feel like I can work with all of these really well and blend them in really nicely. And especially, again, for $10, I think that the formula is really nice. Still using the Cool Brown palette, I'm now going to take shade number 4, which is kind of this medium brown shade here, into my crease. Now for the lid shade, I am taking shade number 2, which is this kind of light champagne-y gold color, and I'm going to put this all over my lid. Hopefully you can tell as I'm applying this. I'll try to punch you in, but again, it's a really pretty color. I feel like I get really nice color payoff, but it is quite powdery. So there's a lot of fallout kind of on my lashes and on my cheek, even after tapping the brush off. So they are really kind of soft and really powdery, but I'm still happy with the color payoff. Just gonna sweep away all that fallout that I got. I do think that you'd probably have better luck using your finger with these shimmer shades. Usually when you use your finger, I find anyway that you get a little less fallout than with a brush. They kind of get more dusty and powdery with a brush. I don't know. I just go back and forth on whether I want to use my fingers or a brush. And today I wanted to use a brush just to make it a little bit lighter and not so intense as far as the shimmer goes. So moving on to the outer corner now, I'm going to go back in again, still with the Cool Brown shade, and I'm going to put a shimmer shade in my outer corner. I'm going to use shade number 5 here, which is this kind of pretty taupey shimmer shade. I'm going to be putting this in my outer corner. I do think that the Cool Browns palette is really pretty just on its own. You could leave it like this if you wanted to, but again, I just wanted to show you some of the green shades in this palette. So I'm just going to do a pop of color on my lower lash line, starting with the deep green shade in here, which is shade number 3. I'm just going to be putting this in the outer portion of my lower lash line. And then for the inner portion of my lower lash line, I'm going to take this really pretty kind of bright pastel-y green here, which would technically be shade number 6. And I'm going to use just a little pencil brush and put this kind of again on the inner portion of my lower lash line, and then bring this up into the inner portion of my lid as well. This is the one shade that is probably the hardest to work with. It doesn't really have chunks of glitter in it. It kind of does, like the pieces in here are just really big. So this shade is a little bit weird. Again, I find that you get kind of the most fallout with this one, so just be careful. I'm really tapping off the excess here and just going in with little amounts of the shadow at a time. But again, I'm just going to put this kind of on the inner portion here to brighten it up. I think that this shade is really pretty and it's really kind of bright. I like what it adds to the look. Okay, so the shadow is done. I do really like the way that the eyes turned out. I especially like kind of just the really subtle pop of green on the lower lash line. I do think that if you bought just the, I know I used a combination of the two, but if you bought just the khaki tones with the greens in them, I do think you'd be able to recreate this same look, because you've still got this kind of like bronzy. It's a little bit deeper, but you've got this shade you could use for the lid here. And then of course you've got like a crease and outer corner shade too. So if you like the green, I guess I would say you probably don't need both of these palettes to create this look. You could do it with just the one. Again, like these eyeshadow palettes are nice. I like them. I like the colors. Are they the best eyeshadow palettes that I have in my collection? No, absolutely not. But again, for the price, I don't think that you can go wrong. So again, for 10 bucks, I think that these are pretty nice and worth checking out. Last but not least, for mascara, like I said, I have the Sephora Collection Size Up Mascara. This, again, is not a new product. It was just something that was next to the palettes when I bought them, so I figured I'd pick it up and give it a try, because I've not tried actually any Sephora Collection mascaras before. So it is one of those that it reminds me very much of like a Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara or the L'Oreal Lash Paradise, just in the shape of the brush. I will show you what it looks like. So this is the brush up close here. Again, you have kind of that classic like hourglass shape that reminds me of the Too Faced and the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. And then as far as the formula goes, this is a pretty like wet and gloopy formula. I find that I pick up a lot of product on this brush, so it is one of those that I feel like I need to kind of get rid of some of the excess product before I put it on my lashes. Otherwise, it's just too wet and all of my lashes stick together. So again, I'm just kind of getting rid of some of the excess product on here so that it doesn't clump together all of my lashes. So this is one coat over here on this eye. This is a mascara that I feel like gets really clumpy if you let it dry. So I'm going to go back in right away with the second coat of this before I move on to the other eye, just to avoid getting it too clumpy. So I just finished up the mascara. Again, I have 2 coats now on my upper lashes and 1 coat on my lower lashes. Again, like, it's one of those mascaras that it's not bad. It's a decent mascara. I do think that you get a very voluminous effect, which is exactly what it claims, but it is one of those products that I don't know if it's worth kind of the hassle of how you have to apply it. Again, it is one of those that it does flake on me a little bit throughout the day. It's not that bad. I can clean it up and that usually doesn't bother me. It doesn't smudge, which is nice. But again, just given that you have to scrape off the product, you have to work quickly, I just think that there are better options out there, considering how much you have to work with this to actually get it here. And again, I think it's one of those products that if you take this just like one step too far, it'll be a complete disaster. This is $12, by the way. I think that I forgot to mention that, but I do think that, again, just given the effect, I have a lot of other volumizing mascaras that I like better, that I don't have to work so hard with to get this effect. So again, not a bad product, just something that I don't think is worth the hassle of having to apply. So those are my thoughts on that, but I do like the way that my lashes look. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed my review of these new Sephora Collection products and that you found this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.